How to become rich. Get your finances in shape with this wealth planning checklist. Many people want to be rich, but do they really? What separates those who make real resolutions and stick to them from those who make resolutions on New Year's Day and then ignore them a few days after? Keep in mind that no matter what your resolutions are, the key is not making the list, it's sticking to it. Here is a wealth planning checklist and 5 key steps you can use to increase your financial fitness today and for life. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. How are you doing today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous if you were to ask me. And if you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. Today I want to talk to you about how to become rich and how to get your finances in shape with a wealth planning checklist. First thing you need to do is to create a budget for life. So because when it comes to finances, you have to look at things as an equation, a cash flow equation, cash flowing in and out. So savings and investment during your working years, if you stick to it, should lead to a rise in net worth over time. In other words, cash inflows. And this will enable you to achieve many of your most important goals in life. So creating your own budget and net worth statement can help you build your roadmap and stay on track. Now, let me give you a few steps that can help. But before I do that, remember, when I'm talking about net worth statement, I'm talking about assets and liabilities. Your assets are what you own, and your liabilities are your debts or obligations. In other words, what you owe. So you want to create a budget and pay yourself first. At a minimum, you want to have a high level budget with 3 things: how much you're taking in after taxes, how much you're spending, and how much you're saving. So after tax, taxable income. So they take the tax out, so you have your net income, your expenses, and your savings. So if you're not really sure where your money's going, you want to track your spending using a spreadsheet or an online budgeting tool. And you can do that. And there are a lot of free online tools out there. You want to determine how much money you need to cover your fixed monthly expenses. I'm talking here about mortgage and other living expenses, and how much you like to put away for other goals for retirement though. And this is key. The rule of thumb, and a lot of experts have said that you want to save 10 to 15% of pre-tax income, including any match from an employer. And you want to start doing that in your 20s, because if you delay, the amount you may need to save goes up. So you want to add 10% for every decade you delayed saving for retirement. And once you commit really to an amount, consider ways you can save automatically. So it's a lot easier to pay yourself first. Another thing you want to do is to calculate your personal net worth annually. So as I'm saying, net worth means total assets minus total liabilities. And this doesn't have to be complicated. You just have to make a list of all your assets in one category and subtract your liabilities. So subtract the liabilities from the asset to determine your net worth. Now, don't panic if temporarily your net worth declines during tough market periods. This is important to understand that you have to look at things over the long run. Do you see a general upward trend? If you see that, then everything is fine. Another thing you need to do is to project the cost of essential big ticket items. I'm talking here about roof repair, college tuition, if you need to buy a car, a family car, a van, those kind of stuff are big ticket items. So you need to increase your savings and treat money as spent. So savings actually is not money going into your savings account. It is an expense, especially if you're planning to buy a big ticket item. So if you choose, and there are several ways you can do this. You can invest in a CD, in a money market account. If you choose to invest in a CD stands for certificate of deposit. So make sure the term ends by the time you need the cash. So if you have more than a few years, invest wisely based on your term horizon. When we talk about budgeting for life, another thing that's important also is that if you are retired, if you are in your working years, then you're fine. But if you are retired, you need to invest your living expense money conservatively. So you want to consider keeping at least 12 months to 18 months of living expenses after accounting for non-portfolio income sources. I'm talking here about if you have a pension, Social Security. You want to put those non-portfolio income sources in short-term CDs so that you're getting a little bit, 1% or 2% in savings. The thing is, your money has to work for you. Money has to work. Don't let money just sleep without working for you, right? So you want to keep a portion of your non-portfolio income in those CDs, and you want to keep the other portion. I'm talking here up to 4 years worth of spending or 5 years worth of spending. You can invest that in short-term bond funds, and this should be part of your portfolio fixed income allocation. Remember, short-term bond funds are like cash equivalents, especially when the underlying bonds are AAA rated, and if they are, for instance, government issued or municipal bonds. So this can help you, or this strategy can help you actually stabilize your financial position, and will give you enough money you need in the short run. Now, it also allows you, and this is important for folks to remember, it allows you to invest other money for a level of growth potential that makes sense for you, while reducing the chances that you'll be forced to sell more volatile investments like stock in the down market. Another thing you need to do when it comes to creating a budget for life is to prepare for emergencies. Things happen, stuff happens. We are in this life, and stuff happens. So if you're not retired, I would suggest that you create an emergency fund with 3 to 6 months worth of essential living expenses, and you want to set that aside in a savings account. Experts usually say 3 to 6 months, but we say it's better to go to 12 months because stuff happens, and the last thing you know is that you don't want to have a big emergency happening to you. Let's say a family member needs money, or you end up being hospitalized, God forbid, and you need money. 3 to 6 months is really nothing. And if we have a recession, 3 to 6 months is really nothing. That cash can just evaporate real quick. So you want to increase the length to maybe 6, 9 months or 12 months. And this emergency fund can help you cover unexpected but necessary expenses without having to sell more volatile investments. Usually when you have to sell more volatile investments, if you're forced to sell, you might actually incur a loss. So the idea here is to prevent that. Step number 2, manage your debts. Debt is neither inherently good or bad. It's simply a tool. A lot of people look at debt as a bad thing, whatever. No, it's not. For most people, some level of debt is a practical necessity, especially to purchase an expensive long-term asset to pay back over time. Let me give you an example, a home. However, problems arise when debt becomes the master and not the other way around. Let me just give you a few tips on how to stay in charge, because we want to stay in charge. This is the bottom line. Everybody wants to stay in charge of their debt. You want to keep your total debt load manageable. What am I talking about here? Do not confuse what you can borrow with what you should borrow. It's like a credit card. When you have a credit card, the balance is you might have a balance of $10,000. This is what you can borrow. This is what you can't use. This is not necessarily what you should use, right? You don't want to tap into the whole balance of your credit card. So you want to keep the monthly cost of owning a home, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, as well as credit card and car ownership. You want to keep that below 28% of your pre-tax income and your total monthly debt payments. So when I'm talking about debt payments here, I'm talking about credit cards, auto loans, mortgage payments. You also want to eliminate high-cost, non-deductible consumer debt. So you want to pay off credit card debt and avoid borrowing to buy depreciating assets such as car. Think about it. You are borrowing to buy a depreciating asset, a car. Some people even borrow to finance a wedding, to finance a trip. This is not a right strategy because the cost of consumer debt adds up quickly if you carry a balance. So you want to consider consolidating your debt in a low-rate home equity line of credit. And you want to set a realistic budget and have a plan and a schedule to pay it back. Another way to manage your debt, and this is worth talking about, is to match repayment terms to your time horizons. What do I mean by that? Let's say you are likely to move within 5 to 7 years. You are currently staying in you bought a house and you're thinking about moving in a few years, 5 to 7 years. you should consider, for instance, a shorter maturity loan or an ARM and an adjustable rate mortgage. Depending on current mortgage rates and option, you first want to talk to your financial planner if you have one, or just contact your mortgage lender, or contact your any other experts, any other financial experts you have in your entourage. The thing is, you want to have as much info as possible, right? I'm not suggesting here that you borrow money under the assumption that your home will automatically increase in value, because historically, long-term home appreciation has significantly lagged the total return of a diversified stock portfolio. So and the bottom line here is, for any type of debt, folks, you want to have a disciplined payback schedule. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Q. We are still talking today about one of my favorite subjects: how to become rich, how to get your finances in shape with the wealth planning checklist I'm giving you. I've given you two steps so far. So the first thing is, you want to create a budget for life, and then you want to manage your debts. Third step, very important. By the way, if you love the content's clarity and quality so far, please consider subscribing to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you are informed in real time whenever we release a new show. And we release this kind of shows every single day, rain or shine. Comment, like, and share this content. Third, optimize your portfolio. What is the big deal here? Everybody wants to get better investment results, right? But research shows timing of markets is difficult and can be counterproductive, so don't do it. The best way to do this is to create a plan that will help you stay persevering, disciplined, focused in all kinds of markets. Up, down, it doesn't matter. You want to follow your plan and adjust it as needed. Let me give you a few ideas to help you stay disciplined, to help you stay focused on your goals. Number one, you want to focus on your overall investment mix. Very important. Focus on your overall investment mix. So if you commit to a savings plan, you have some cash set aside, how you invest is your next most important decision. You want to have a targeted asset allocation. That is, I'm talking here about the overall mix of stocks, bonds, and cash in your portfolio. And you want to have a target asset allocation you are comfortable with, even in a down market. So are you comfortable with a 60-40, with 60 being 60% of stocks and 40% of bonds? Or you want to have 50, 35, and 15, and 15 being here, the cash and cash equivalents? The bottom line is, you have to always think about the negative scenario. What if things go wrong? So if you're comfortable with the asset allocation you have, right, that you would have in a down market, then you bet that you will be even happier if times are good, if we're having a bull market. So make sure this asset allocation is in sync with your long-term goals, risk tolerance, and time frame. Because the longer your time horizon, the more you'll have the benefit from up or down markets, right? If you're in your 20s, the situation is totally different from if you are in, say, your 50s. So after you're focused on your overall investment mix, aka targeted asset allocation, you want to diversify across and within asset classes. I'm talking here about, for instance, let's say, what does it mean, rather, if you have to diversify across and within asset classes? Let's say you have stocks. So diversify across asset classes means that you are buying stocks, you are buying bonds, you are buying ETFs. ETF stands for exchange traded funds. You have to buy cash and cash equivalents, including money market accounts and short-term bond funds. That's diversification across asset classes. Now let's talk about diversification within asset classes. So let's say the asset class stock, corporate stock. So you can diversify across sectors. You can diversify across geographies. So you can buy, for instance, Tesla. You can buy Microsoft. You can buy Walmart. So all of those companies are operating in different industries. And you can also say, I'm going to buy some short-term, so some large cap stocks, American large cap stocks such as Walmart and IBM and Microsoft, and I'm going to also buy some large cap European stocks such as Bayer or Deutsche Telekom, or I'm going to buy so you can diversify across geography. You can diversify across also other criteria. It all boils down to what's important for you. One thing I want to say is that diversification overall reduces risk and is a critical factor in helping you reach your goals. So mutual funds and exchange traded funds are great ways to own a diversified basket of securities in just about any asset class. When it comes to portfolio optimization, you also got to think about taxes. So you need to think about taxes. So you want to place relatively tax efficient investments like ETFs and municipal bonds in taxable accounts, and relatively tax inefficient investments like mutual funds and real estate investment trusts, the REITs. And you also want to make sure that you are, and those investments in tax advantaged accounts are fitting pretty well within your overall portfolio strategy, because tax advantage accounts include retirement accounts such as a traditional or Roth individual retirement account, what we call IRA. So if you trade frequently, and this is a piece of advice for day traders or the swing traders, you want to do so in tax advantage accounts to help reduce your tax bill. Another thing you need to do when it comes to portfolio optimization is to monitor and rebalance your portfolio as needed. So you want to evaluate your portfolio's performance at least twice a year using the right benchmarks. Some people even go with 3 times a year or 4 times a year. The bottom line here is that if you have a brokerage, most brokerage, the top brokerages out there, including Charles Schwab's, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, and so on and so forth, Merrill Lynch and Bank of America. I mean, there are big players out there. They will have on their platforms or through the app, they will have the right benchmarks you can use to evaluate your portfolio performance. And it's not just, I'm not even telling you just to focus on the ROI. There are many other criteria you have to pay attention to: momentum, relative risk, market trends, and so on and so forth. Remember that the long-term progress that you make towards your goals is more important than short-term portfolio performance. So as you approach a saving goal, such as the beginning of a child's education or retirement, you want to begin to reduce investment risk, if appropriate, so you don't have to sell more volatile investments such as stocks when you need them. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We are still having a conversation here around how to become rich and how to get your finances in shape with a wealth planning checklist I'm giving you. So I've given you 3 steps in that checklist so far. So you need to create a budget for life, manage your debt, and optimize your portfolio. Let's now talk about preparing for the unexpected. Stuff happens, guys. Risk is part of life, particularly in investments and finance. So your financial life can be upended by all kinds of surprises. You have a lawsuit, you have natural disasters, death, disability, job loss, and illness. Those things happen. If you don't have enough assets to self-insure against major risk, you need to make a resolution now to get your insurance needs covered. A lot of folks underestimate that part, but this is very important. Insurance helps protect against unforeseen events that don't happen often, but are expensive to manage yourself when they do. So insurance, if you look at it, it should be a quintessential risk mitigation tool in your wealth planning checklist. Let me give you a few tips that you can use to prepare for life's unexpected moments. Protect yourself and your family against large medical expenses with health insurance. So you want to select a health insurance policy that matches your needs in areas such as coverage, deductibles, co-payments, and choice of medical providers. If you're in good health, and thank God for that, and you don't visit the doctor often, you want to consider a high deductible policy to insure against the possibility of a serious illness or unexpected healthcare event. You want to purchase life insurance if you have dependents or other obligations. The first thing you want to do is take advantage of a group term insurance policy if your employer offers that. This kind of policies don't generally require a medical check and can be cost effective to provide income replacement for dependents. Now, if you have underage children or you have large liabilities that will continue after your death for which you cannot self-insure, you may need additional life insurance, and it's up to you. You got to look at your personal life, your situation, and make the right decisions. Now, unless you have a permanent life insurance need or special circumstances, you also want to consider starting with a low-cost term life policy before a whole life policy. You also need to protect your earning power with the long-term disability insurance. So I've given you need health insurance, you need life insurance, you may need long-term disability insurance because the odds of becoming disabled are greater than the odds of dying young. According to the Social Security Administration, a person who turned 20 in 2019 has a 19% chance of becoming disabled before normal retirement age and a 3% chance of dying before retirement age. So if you cannot get adequate short and long-term coverage through work, consider an individual policy. I'm talking here about LDI, so the long-term disability insurance. Other things you should do here, folks, if you need to prepare for the unexpected, and we're talking here about the large canvas of insurance as a wealth planning tool. You want to protect your physical assets with property casualty insurance. So check your homeowners and auto insurance policy to make sure your coverage and deductibles are still right for you. You also may want to obtain additional liability coverage if needed. Let me talk about what that means. Let's say there's something called umbrella policy. This is a personal liability policy that is very cost effective when it comes to increasing your liability coverage by $1 million or more in case you are at fault in an accident or someone is injured on your property. Umbrella policies don't cover business-related liabilities. So the last thing you want, the most important thing you need to make sure here is that your business, if you are a business owner, gotta be properly insured, especially if you are in a profession with unique risks and are not covered by an employer. Think about long-term care insurance and think about the advantages and the disadvantages of that also. So if you consider a long-term care policy, look for a policy that provides the right type of care and is guaranteed renewable with locked-in premium rates. Long-term care typically is most cost-effective. That's what experts are saying, starting at about age 50. And it becomes more expensive or difficult to find generally after age 70. So you can get independent sources of information from your state insurance commissioner. So remember that an impeccable and effective retirement savings strategy is another way to plan ahead for long-term care costs. Think about creating a disaster plan for your safety and peace of mind. So you can review your homeowners or renters policy to see what's covered and what's not. Talk to your agent about flood or earthquake insurance if either is concerned for your area. Now, generally, neither is included in most homeowners' policies, so you want to keep an updated video inventory of valuable household items and possessions, along with any professional appraisals and estimates of replacement value in a safe place away from your home. One thing that is important, and we're talking here, and a lot of members in our community, the majority of our community members are actually very tax savvy. They are into technology. They're just millennials. So if you're tech savvy, consider storing inventories and important documents on a portable hard drive. You can even use the cloud. So it's also a great idea to have copies of birth certificates, passports, wills, trust documents, records of home improvements, and insurance policies in a small, secure, something called evacuation box that you can grab in a hurry in case you have to evacuate immediately. Make sure your trusted loved ones also know this file as well in case they need it. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We are still having a conversation here around how to become rich, how to get your finances in shape with a wealth planning checklist. Now, if you love this content's clarity and quality so far, I would suggest you turn on the notification bell. First, you subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so we can inform you in real time whenever we release a new show. And we release this kind of shows, guess what? Every single day, rain or shine. Protect your estate. Now, an estate plan may seem like something only for the wealthy, but no, not at all. There are simple steps everyone should take. Without proper beneficiary designations, a will, and other basic steps, the fate of your assets or minor children may be decided by attorneys and tax agencies, and even beyond that, you have something called the probate process, a probate court. So taxes and attorneys' fees can eat away at these assets and delay the distribution of assets just when your heirs need them most. Let's talk about a few ways to protect your estate now. I'm giving you a few tips here on how to protect your estate and your loved ones, but folks, we have an entire library of videos around estate planning. If you're interested in the subject of wills, of testaments, of what constitutes revocable and irrevocable trust, if you're interested in that, if you're interested about protecting your estate, your financial life, your family financial well-being, just check our catalog of video on estate planning. So let me give you a few ways to protect your estate. Review your beneficiaries, especially for retirement accounts, annuities, and life insurance. So the beneficiary designation is your first line of defense to make sure your wishes, the wishes for your assets are known and complied with. And you want to also ensure that the transfer to who you want is made quickly. Keep information on beneficiaries up to date to ensure the proceeds of life insurance policies and retirement accounts are consistent with your wishes, your will, and other documents. Prepare or update your will. A will is not just about transferring assets. It can provide for your dependents support and care and help you avoid the cost and delays associated with dying without one. It can also spell out plans to repay debts such as a credit card or mortgage. Keep in mind that a beneficiary designation or asset titling trumps what's written in a will. So make sure all documents are consistent and reflect your desires. You can, if you have to update a will, it's called a codicil. So a codicil is a way to insert new information about your preferences into a will. Experts are saying that it's just better sometimes just to write a new will, because having a codicil in a will takes as much effort and time as just writing a new will, so it's just better to write a new will. So when writing a will, we recommend working with an experienced lawyer or estate planning attorney. You also want to coordinate asset titling with the rest of your estate plan. So the titling of your property and non-retirement accounts can affect the ultimate disposition and taxation of your assets. So again, this is the kind of folks, this is the kind of a subject where you want to enlist the help of an estate attorney or lawyer who can help you strategize around titling of assets such as a home or other assets that don't have a beneficiary designation, to make sure that those reflect your wishes and are consistent with titling laws that can vary by states, but also debts. Continuing the conversation around estate planning and protection, you want to have in place durable powers of attorney for healthcare. You also want to have, I just want to add that in some states it's called the advance directive, but you also want to have durable financial powers of attorney. Now, in this document, appoint a trusted and competent confidant to make decisions on your behalf if you become incapacitated. You want to consider also creating a revocable living trust. This is especially critical if your estate is large and complex and you want to spell out how your assets should be used in detail. A living trust may not be needed for smaller estates where beneficiaries, titling, and a will can be sufficient. But again, talk to a qualified financial planner or attorney. You also want to take care of important estate documents. So you want to make sure a trusted and competent family member or close friend knows the location of your important estate documents. And folks, this is important. You need to do this. God forbid stuff happens. If someone becomes incapacitated and they cannot, they need help taking care of themselves or their affairs, their financial or medical affairs, it's important to have this kind of documents. Now, remember one thing, you don't have to do all the 5 steps at once. There's a lot you can do to improve your financial health, folks. So take one step at a time. So you want to make some real progress on your journey, one step at a time. Don't try to complicate things. All right. So let me just quickly recap here. I gave you 5 steps in a wealth planning checklist that can help you get your finances in shape for life and help you become wealthy and stay wealthy. Number 1, create a budget for life. 2, manage your debts. 3, optimize your portfolio. 4, prepare for the unexpected. 5, protect your estate. I will see you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.